The king needs to win. He takes the most expensive, rare treasures that have been in the possession of the family for many, many, many years, centuries even. And he gives them to the ordinary soldiers to inspire them. Just they should win. They have to win. A king has to win. The Rebbe has to bring Moshiach. The Rebbe said, no, it's up to every single person. You, and you, and you, and you. So he looked around at everybody and said, up to you, and up to you, and up to you, and up to you. That was last week, the 28th day of Nisan, when he said those words. It was like a spiritual atomic bomb. Chapter 20. Lam Nafseyar Mizra David. Yancha Adonai b'yem tzara. In a time of distress, Hashem should help you. Shem Elohei Yankiv, the very name of the God of Jacob should help you. Yishach Ezra HaMekodesh, it should send help from the holy place. Umitzion Yisadeka, and from Zion, which means from Jerusalem, he should send you support. He should give you support. Yizkar Pol Michaisecha, you should recall your offerings. They should be remembered graciously. And he should fulfill your heart's requests and enable you to fulfill your good resolutions. And then we will rejoice in your salvation of Hashem Eloheinu. Nidgil will raise the banner of Hashem on high. Hashem should fulfill all your requests. 7. Now I know Hashem saves his anointed. 1. Yaneu, he answers him, Mishmei Kodshe, from his holy heavens, the Gevuris of mightiness, Yesha, salvation, Yemine, from his right hand. They come with their chariots and their cavalry and their vehicles of war. We come with the name of God on our lips. They got up and fell. They rose up but fell. We rose up, and we're standing strong. We've outlasted all of them. A prayer for Hashem to deliver us. May the King answer on the day we call. Okay. Tanya, chapter 13. 13 stands for the 13 attributes of mercy, right? That's higher than the whole order of creation. Hashem taught Moshe the 13 attributes of mercy on Mount Sinai after he forgave the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf. He said, whenever you're in need, this is how you should call upon me. We got to this point on page 196 that the Beinoni should consider himself to be like a Rasha, but not to be a Rasha. What's the difference? A Rasha person does bad things. What's the definition of a bad thing? Anything that's against Hashem's desires, against the laws and the statutes and the precepts of the Torah, which are taught to us in the oral Torah and in the written Torah. But the oral Torah is the details. So a person doesn't do even some little thing, he's already slipped into the category of a Russia. Not a big one, very consequential one, but one thing, good thing leads to another, one bad thing leads to another. So the Beinoni is never a Russia by definition. The Beinoni is not a Russia. But he's like a Russia. Why is he like a Russia? Because he has all the temptations. He has all the desires. He wants all the things that a Russia would want, but he doesn't do them. So he has a life of struggle to remain in the camp of the good, in the camp of Hashem. Okay. And why did he? Because he was administered an oath in the very beginning: do not be wicked, even in your own eyes. Do not consider yourself as wicked, because if you do, you'll be depressed, and then you will be wicked. Because people in depression do all kinds of terrible things. Because they're depressed, they give up on themselves, they say, who cares? I don't care. All right. Page 196 at the bottom. Ella, Shiyachazik Atzmai Lebenini. A person should consider himself to be the Beinoni. He should not believe whatever people tell him about how good he is or how good she is. And they might think that he has nothing bad left in him whatsoever. He's really a righteous person. How fortunate we are to have such a person who is our friend, who is our sponsor, who is our helper. They can believe what they believe, but you don't have to believe it. Page 197. Elo yiye be'enov ke'ilu muhusei batzmusei shel hara. Because where you have what is mahus and what is atzmus. It's very hard for me to define the difference. They both mean the essence in English. The essence, mahus is the existence of evil, and the atzmus is the essence, the innermost essence. So the innermost essence of the Beinoni does not change from when he's a child, when he's born. Self-centered, desiring things just because he desires them. So therefore he says the essence and core, that's like the essence, the existence and the essential life of this existence in the Yetzer Hara, or the animal soul, in the left side of the heart, is as strong now as it ever was. Isn't that discouraging? In the left part of his heart. Well, this is it shouldn't be discouraging, because we have Hashem here to help us. It did not vanish, it did not leave him at all. On the contrary, over time, with his cup of coffee and his yogurt and the banana and all the things that he likes, it got stronger. Yeah, but these are ordinary things. To sleep in a bed with a pillow is an ordinary thing. Yeah, but that's not how you refine your animal soul. On the contrary, his evil became very strong, became stronger, because he's using it all the time for the permissible things. Nothing wrong with what he's doing, just he's doing it for himself. He's not doing it for Hashem. So that's the whole twist. That a person has to be like an accountant, keeping a record of all his expenses. Whatever you're spending on yourself, you have to have a reason why you're doing it. Eating and drinking and other daily pursuits. Like if a person buys a pair of shoes, they're good. A pair of boots, it's what you need to have. But there was another pair there that was very nice, maybe just have it for spare. And it's on sale, and why not? So that was not for Hashem's sake. That was for your own private sake. Oh, so the Yetzer Hara gets a little bit stronger. See, you could listen to me. It's not bad. I'm your best friend. That's what the Yetzer Hara says all the time. I'm your best friend. Okay, now we move into a different kind of section. That's about, we can understand so far, this is as far as we've gone. What about a person who really devotes his life to Torah and mitzvahs? And he's not a tzaddik. How can that be? Okay, so page 198, where it says there are 19 tables, you have the place. Even if a person's whole goal in life is to serve Hashem, and he's learning Torah day and night, and he's not learning it with an ulterior motive. What's an ulterior motive? What's an example of an ulterior motive? In order to get a good shidduch, have a good resume. I want to be a valuable commodity. I want people to take an interest in me. I want to get a good job. I should be accepted. I should be liked. That's an ulterior motive. I want to be a Rebbetzin. I want to be a shlucha. I like the shlucha who brought me into Chabad. I'd like to be like her. Well, that's a pretty good ulterior motive, but it's an ulterior motive. We have to learn Torah because it's Hashem's Torah, even if we're not shluchos. And he doesn't waste any time. She doesn't waste any time. She has a spare minute, she uses it. You know? Nobody could be more concerned about time than the Rebbe. I heard from a chassid named Lazer Nanas. He wrote a book about 20 years he was in prison in Russia. And he said, I was with him, he came to visit some people where I happened to be there. And he said that one time the previous Rebbe sent him on a mission to convey a certain message to his son-in-law who would become the Rebbe. And he arrived, I don't know if he arrived in Paris or if it was in Berlin. He came to the room where the Rebbe and Rebbetzin were living. It was a small room, extremely neat and tidy, and laid out like for a king. A tablecloth, white tablecloth, and china dishes, and glassware, beautiful, regal. 4:00 in the afternoon, he got there, and the Rebbe was still wearing talis and tefillin. He was very surprised. The Rebbe was still in talis and tefillin, like he was just finishing Shabbos. So that meant either the Rebbe was learning and just didn't daven Shabbos, or it took a long time davening Shabbos. There's a story about the previous Rebbe when he was a little boy, and he came home from Cheder, and his father was still davening Shabbos, and he was crying. He didn't understand why was his father crying, and why was he still davening Shabbos so late. He had just learned how to read; he could daven quickly, and he was afraid. Maybe my father doesn't know how to read. So here, Lazer Nanas saw that the Rebbe was still in talis and tefillin, but he understood that now he understood why the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, had sent him away, because the previous Rebbe was in Poland. He had left Russia. He was in Poland. And he had sent the Rebbe to Berlin, and he went to university in Berlin. went to a university in Paris, studied engineering. But he always had a book of a Gemara open on his lap. And the teacher, the professor, resented it. And he tried to embarrass him one time and asked him a question out of left field. But the Rebbe knew exactly what the answer was. He knew everything. He gave him a test, and the Rebbe handed in the test in short order, way before anybody else. And he just threw it in the garbage. But there was another person in the Rebbe's class there named Soloveitchik, who became a great teacher in our time in Yeshiva University. He went to the professor and he said, "Excuse me, sir, but don't throw that out. Read it. You might find that it's good." He read it. It was perfect. So that's how the Rebbe was in the university. But really what he was doing the whole time was not taking classes. He took the classes and he did very well in the classes. But he was there learning and davening. And what later Laser Nanas understood was he needed this time undisturbed to grow and as preparation for the role of leadership, world leadership that he would have to fulfill. He needed that. Whereas if he had stayed by the previous Rebbe, he would have been extremely involved in all of the campaigns and activities that the Rebbe was doing on behalf of the whole Jewish people. Okay, so if a person here is studying day and night, and he's doing it lishma for the sake of serving Hashem, it's still no proof, fasten your seatbelts, girls, that he has dislodged, that he has done away with his Yetzer Hara. He could still have a strong, healthy animal soul. Didn't we learn on page 1 that the equivalent personality of his time 2,000 years ago was Rabbah? Rabbah means the great one. And he said he was a Beinoni. So that implies that the Alter Rebbe considered he was a Beinoni. And the Rebbe probably also considered that he was a Beinoni. But he didn't say it. He might say about other people. I know one or two people the Rebbe said about them that person is a Beinoni of the Tanya. So this is what he's saying here, that even if a person is such a holy person like the Rebbe, like Rabbah, it's not a proof, at least in his own eyes, that he has done away with his animal soul. On the contrary, perhaps the essence, the essence of the negativity, of the selfishness, are still in their full strength in the left side of his heart. So why isn't he why is he not a wicked person? Because the garments, you can't control the soul that you have. You can't change your soul unless you're very, very great. To change your soul, a fraction of an inch is a work of a lifetime. But the garments of the soul, which we've learned so many times, are the way you behave and the way you speak and the way you think. These a person can control. If you think something that's not good, what do? Think something else, quick as you can. You have to prepare. You have to have things to think about. You have to do some memory work. When a bad thought comes into your mind, a selfish thought, a desire, a lust, how are you going to get rid of it? Once the thing goes in, you can't get it out. That's why television is such a dangerous thing. And radio is a dangerous thing because you're flooding your mind with extraneous information, sometimes negative information, a lot of the time negative information. Most of the news that's on the news is not fit to print, it's not fit to hear. And once you heard it about so-and-so and so-and-so, and what he said and what she said, try and forget about it. How can I forget about something that's in? I can't just pluck it out. No, but you could replace it. You can replace it with a different kind of thought. If your beloved mother, heaven forbid, lo aleinu, should be taken to the hospital, you wouldn't have any of these thoughts about that extra pair of shoes. Who would care? So you see you can do it. You can think about something else. And just as an insurance policy, it's good to do memory work. So when you're walking down the street and your mind is idle, nothing else can impress you because you're thinking about something else actively, trying to get good things into the system. But the garments of what you think and what you do and what you say, those are things that are under your control. That's what we're talking about. What you're thinking about is up to you. And it's up to you to think and do that which is not to think and not to do that which is forbidden to be done. And here comes a key line here. We've had this at least several times during the course of the year, that the first lesson of Chabad from the Alter Rebbe down is that your mind must control your heart. If you read Kuntras Umayan, did you read Kuntras Umayan? That's a major theme in Kuntras Umayan. When the Rebbe was asked, what should a person learn if he's just beginning to learn Torah and Hasidus, the Rebbe said two things he should learn. Kitzer Shulchan Aruch, you have to know what you're supposed to do. And you should read Kuntras Umayan, which was written by the Rebbe Rashab, was written for business people. It's very basic ideas of Hasidic thought. And a major theme of that is that in our life, we have to program ourselves that our mind makes the final decision about what we do and what we say and what we think. So that your godly soul, the Nefesh Elokis, rules over the heart. And rules over all the limbs in your body. And you know what they speak of body language? When you feel a certain way, you move a certain way. You look a certain way. Someone you don't like comes into the room, and there's nobody you don't like. Somebody you do like comes into the room right away. Your body expresses your happiness. Very happy to see them. So that what you're thinking about controls the way all the organs in your body are responding. If they're healthy, if they're functioning well. Page 199 in the middle, however, the mahus means means what. So the mahus means the whatness of a thing. What makes it what it is? What's the whatness of an apple? Sweet? Hopefully. Not tart. Sweet. What's the whatness of tzedakah? It's good. Help somebody. There's a whole section in the Talmud about giving tzedakah. When you give tzedakah just like that, without thinking, just automatically, 6 brachas come your way. And they bring verses from the Torah to show them how tzedakah brings a blessing, 6 different blessings. But if you actually inquire from the person who's receiving the tzedakah, how's their family? How are they feeling? How's business? How are the children doing? You take an interest in them, there's 11 brachas. That's the whatness of what tzedakah is. It's blessings for everybody. And so tzedakah brings the Mashiach closer, sooner, better. So your mind controls what you think, and that controls how you, the garments of your soul, how your thought and action and your speech. And that's the way it has to be. Except, what's the exception? There are certain times when Hashem gives you an advantage. You don't even have to work at it so much if your mind has to control everything that you do, because these are times when Hashem himself makes himself felt in your life, such as when you say Kriya Shema, when you go to participate in Yom Tov, you go to shul and the davening is beautiful, and the look of the davening is beautiful. And you say the prayer that you know how to say very, very nicely. You say it together with everybody. You're inspired. So at those moments, you're not struggling. Your Yetzer Hara is being taken care of like automatically. At these times, the Yetzer Tov can dominate the animal soul, but afterwards, the animal soul comes back. It doesn't, we use the word here in English, vanquish it. He doesn't overcome it. He doesn't destroy it. So he doesn't convert it to be that the animal soul itself wants only good. The animal soul wants pleasure. Page 200. Now, we learn this from everything. The Torah has everything in it. And the stories that we read about in the Torah are tremendous prototypes, archetypes of behavior. And they play themselves out over and over and over again in our lives. So one of the great archetypes of Jewish life, of our life, is the struggle between the twin brothers, the children of Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Esau. That even before they were born, they were fighting with each other. Because Yaakov is an ish tam, a simple person, as to say, he's not complicated. He's focused very much on goodness. He wants to do only good. So Hashem gives him tremendous challenges to survive. And his brother Esau is like an animal. He's born, he looks like an animal. He's covered with hair like an animal. He's violent. He loves to hunt and to kill. And the Torah details how on his 13th birthday, he did 5 cardinal transgressions. What did he do? He did Avodah Zarah. He killed King Nimrod, committed murder. He raped a woman, grabbed a woman from under her chuppah and raped her. He despised his birthright. He said, I don't need it. I don't want it. That's Yaakov's twin brother, Esau. The word Esau means he was born fully made, fully formed, like an animal. And the two of them were tearing apart the insides of Rivka, who wanted so badly to have children, Rivka, the mother of the Jewish people, the great heroine. And she worked out the whole plan, how Yaakov would get the blessings and not Esau, even though Esau was the first one out of the womb. So Rashi brings this parable that Esau really wasn't the firstborn, wasn't the first conceived. Possibly wasn't the first one born. Where do their names come from? Yaakov comes from the word Ekov, which means Esau was the first one born that emerged from the womb, but Yaakov was holding on to him, trying to hold him back by the heel. So he's called Yud Ekev, the Yud of God connected with the heel, which in our life, our personal life, means that we have to bring down the Yud of God's name and holiness through our whole system, even down to our heels. So he's holding on to the heel, Yaakov holding on to the heel of Esau. The word Esau means fully formed, made, completely made. So on the day, she was experienced, she had wanted to become with child for so many years. She was 23 years old when she had the children. And she was married when she was 3. 10 years wasn't possible, too young. But after the age of 12, she could have children, and she wasn't able. Until she and Yitzchak went up on the roof and they prayed to Hashem, and Hashem blessed them, and they should have a child. They drew down such holy powers that Yaakov, the father of the Jewish people, eventually became Yisrael. Yaakov, Yisrael is the same person. Took on the name of the whole Jewish people, Yisrael. And he spent his life in intense studying in the yeshivas of Shem and Eber. He was devoted to goodness, taking care of his father. And Rivka conceived of the plan that since she had by her dowry goats, 2 goats a day was given to her from the flocks. So she shechted a goat, or had it done, and she took the skins and put them on Yaakov's hands and his neck. Yitzchak was blind, he couldn't see. And Yaakov was afraid to do this. She said, "Now you," and she made the food tasted like wild game, the way Yitzchak loved it, and wine, good wine probably from squeezed from grapes from Gan Eden, and gave it to Yaakov and said, "Take this to your father and get the blessings quick before Esau comes back." And he went in, but he spoke like a God-fearing person, and Yitzchak was suspicious because Esau didn't used to talk like that. He says, "Come closer. I want to bless you." And he felt his neck and he felt his arms, and they were hairy, so it felt like Esau. But on the other hand, when he asked him, "How'd you get back so quickly?" he said, "Hashem helped me to come quick. He sped my way." And so Yitzchak said this famous sentence, "The hands are the hands of Esau. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esau." So we have to, when we go through our lives, we have to make sure that our voice is the voice of Yaakov, and that our hands are not the murderous hands of Esau. And this is the conflict of the centuries-old conflict between the rulers of the world. I personally think all the czars and the kings and princes of Europe are descendants of Esau. Powerful people. Not necessarily good people. Very powerful, ruthless people. And this is an eternal struggle. And when Rivka was experiencing this terrible pain of pregnancy, she said, "This is what it was worth, but why did I want it?" And she went to the prophet, to the Rebbe of that time, who was Shem, the son of Noach. That's where the term Semite comes from. Shem, the descendants of Shem. And she said, "What's happening?" And he said, "You're carrying not two children, 2 nations. You didn't know you had twins. Each twin is going to be the father of a nation. And they're struggling with each other from the womb. And they will never be equal. When one is up, the other is down. And when they switch roles, if Yaakov and his descendants slack off and do not live up to what their potential is in terms of Torah and mitzvahs, then Esau goes up and dominates them and persecutes them. So Rome, which comes from Esau, destroys the Beis Hamikdash. because the children of Yaakov couldn't get along with each other. Parents can't stand it when children fight. Hashem I didn't create the world that the Jewish people should fight with each other. So that's what it says here. These are the words of the prophet Shem, the son of Noah. When this one rises up, page 200, second paragraph. Come, when this one rises up, Zen Nofel, the other one will be down. Because come Chuli, and when the other one rises up, then the other one will be down. So the animal soul is really personified in Esau. So even though when a person davens, it's already late. I'm over time. We'll have to come back here. We should finish on a good note that when a person davens, the divine soul gains strength over the animal soul, and the source of his strength is Gevuros. The Gevuros were with Rivka. And what did she say? When Yaakov said, "I'm afraid my father is going to realize that that this is a trick, and that it's not really Esau, and he's going to curse me." And Rivka said words of tremendous power. She said, "On me be the curse. Let the curse be on me." She had Mesiras Nefesh that the blessings of Yitzchak, of Abraham and Yitzchak would come to Yaakov and not go elsewhere. L'chaim. It's interesting that of all the Rebbitzins are great people, but the Rebbitzin was very beloved throughout the centuries of Chabad, the Rebbitzin River. The congregation may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Melech haolam. I'll feel much of us. Okay, enjoy it. Spring weather. Rest warmly. Don't be cold. Don't catch a cold. And when you change the seasons, when it becomes spring and when it becomes fall, you have to take that. Rest warm. Yeah. Parents have a life. This one, but by mine. Oh, you're right.